There are so many reasons to visit the island of Bali, Indonesia. The sun and sand are what most people think of when picturing the tropical getaway. Each of its soft white sand beaches offers its own personality. Some snuggle up to dramatic limestone cliffs, while coconut palms shade small patches of others. Water sports like snorkeling, paddleboarding or just soaking up the sun is a good start, but there's more about the island you'll want to know before you go there. Most visitors to Bali go to immerse themselves in a picture postcard world of soft sand beneath swaying coconut palms with azure waters washing up at their feet. However, the natives of Bali consider the sea unclean, turning their eyes toward the volcanic mountains to find spiritual renewal and cleansing. Fishermen didn't live by the sea either, choosing to build their homes safely inland. Bali's first inhabitants came to the island paradise about 3,000 years BC. The ancient people used stone tools and clay vessels, living a simple life of hunting and gathering. Hindu-Buddhist writings dating to 100 BC document an end to the prehistoric era when the island's elaborate temples and bronze artifacts appeared. Discover some of these ancient artifacts dating to prehistoric times at the Bali Museum and in Pasir. The museum makes it easy to delve into the subject matter you're most interested in. Head to its Timur to discover archaeological relics or learn about the vibrant textiles of the island and their complex dyeing methods at the Buleleng. Find religious objects such as priests' garments and calendars in the Karangasem, along with paintings and sculptures. The fourth section of the museum, the Tabanan, displays all things theatrical, including masks, musical instruments and costumes. Exploring ancient caves and stone temples around the island are other ideal ways to discover Bali's rich heritage. Walk through an intricately carved, yet menacing, stone face dating to the 11th century to enter the elephant cave Goagaja, to see an ancient stone statue of the Hindu god Ganesha elephant-like in appearance, and the colored coves in which monks would sit to meditate. Or meander a lush forest trail winding through springs and rice paddies to reach Yepulu, home to the most extended sequence of rock relief panels on the island. The extensive series of panels depicts everyday village life, spiritual life and hunting techniques dating to the 1300s. Local legend has it that the giant Kibo Iwa carved the panels using nothing but his fingernails. With a flight time of fewer than 4 hours from Perth, Australia, Bali is an inexpensive tropical getaway for Aussies, similar to Cancun for Americans. However, flying from the US will take you longer, 20 hours at best from Los Angeles. The journey takes you literally to the other side of the planet, and 8 to 9 degrees south of the equator. The proximity to the Earth's midline means that seasonal temperatures are warm year-round, about 80 degrees in any given month. There's little disparity between the coolest months, January and February, at 79 degrees Fahrenheit, and the warmest month of May, at 82 degrees. Overnight temperatures cool down, but not enough to warrant packing anything more than the lightest wrap. It's unlikely to see the mercury dip below 72 degrees Fahrenheit at any time of year. Bali's tropical location means lots of moisture. The months when US tourists long to bake in the sun on a tropical island, December through March, are also the rainiest. Check the weather forecast if you're planning a winter getaway, and make contingency plans for rainy days. These months can see rainfall up to 15 days out of the month or more, with rain totals averaging 3.5 inches each month. Don't think in terms of 4 seasons but 2 when you're in Bali: a wet season and a dry season. The driest months are April through September. Humidity of 60 to 65% during this dry weather might leave you feeling a bit moist. However, Bali's location brings a minor fluctuation in daylight throughout the year. The longest days come from January through April, when 9 hours of daylight let you squeeze out maximum vacation activities. Conversely, the busiest tourist season of July and August bring a mere 6 hours of sunshine, so plan to take advantage of the island's nightlife, or browse the night markets during that time. Before going to Bali, make sure your passport is valid for at least 6 months beyond the date that you plan to return, and has at least 2 blank pages. No tourism visa is required providing you stay in Indonesia fewer than 30 days. If you plan to exchange money at your local bank before leaving the US, keep in mind that you can't bring more than the equivalent of $7,500 of US dollars into the country in rupiah. The same goes for when you leave the country. That amounts to somewhere around 100 billion rupees by 2018 standards. If you don't like getting stuck with needles, know that US travelers aren't required to get vaccinated before visiting Bali. However, the US Department of State does suggest that you receive them. Relevant vaccinations for all travelers include tetanus, typhoid, poliomyelitis and hepatitis A, and you may want to seriously consider getting a rabies vaccination. Semi-feral dogs roam the streets in most areas of Bali. To the Balinese, the dogs are culturally and historically significant animals, and they keep the rat population down and clean up temple offerings. However, the island experiences outbreaks of rabies from time to time, so don't attempt to pet, feed or otherwise interact with free-roaming canines that aren't used to attention from humans. If you're planning to trek in the countryside outside of modern cities, add rabies and hepatitis B vaccines to your list. If you're planning to spend time in rural areas, consider adding meningococcal meningitis, Japanese B encephalitis and tuberculosis vaccines. Consult your doctor as to whether malaria is a concern in the areas in which you plan to travel. Although there are still areas of abject poverty in Indonesia, it's not a third world country, and you'll find state-of-the-art medical technology in major cities in Bali. The country's medical care ranks 92nd out of 190 healthcare systems classified by the World Health Organization. The US is number 37, and Canada is number 30. Medical care in Bali is a lot harder to find, too. There are community medical clinics located throughout Bali. However, if you need a state-of-the-art hospital due to significant illness or injury, you might have a ride of several hours by boat or car to reach one of the island's 2 hospitals. The IMC hospital has 2 locations. One just 3.5 miles from Ngurah International Airport in Denpasar, and one in the Nusa Dua resort area on the southern part of the island. When planning your Bali vacation budget, the last place you want to cut costs is on travel insurance. Like many destinations in the tropics, Bali has an increased risk of natural disasters, including tropical storms, earthquakes, flooding and tsunamis. Not to mention a volcano Mount Agung is very active. More than 840 volcanic earthquakes were recorded within the space of 9 months as of summer 2018. Tsunami watches and alerts aren't out of the ordinary for this part of the world, as underwater earthquakes from the volcano can trigger them. There is an increased risk that your flight could get delayed or cancelled, accommodations evacuated or even access to the entire area closed. The higher risk for natural disasters, injury from high-risk activities and the relative scarcity of medical care is another reason to obtain the best travel insurance you can afford. If you hurt yourself jumping off a cliff, there won't be an ambulance standing by with a backboard. It's more likely you'll have to clamber back up jagged cliffs and take a painful bumpy ride by boat or vehicle to the nearest medical center, which can be hours away. Read the fine print carefully. Some policies contain exclusions for engaging in high-risk activities, which covers many things to do in Bali, or having alcohol or drugs in your system. The U.S. Department of State Bureau of Consular Affairs recommends travelers use extra caution in Indonesia, but their warning specifically targets Central Sulawesi and Papua because of civil unrest. Bali itself is generally safe for American travelers, but you should use safety precautions to avoid scams and pickpockets as you would anywhere when traveling. Women usually are at no higher risk than any other traveler. However, women should avoid being alone after dark in Kuta, the famous party district where drunken tourist revelry, sex workers and drug peddlers characterize a portion of the nightlife. Keep in mind that not all Bali companies or activities come with the same safety standards that you're used to in the US. Look for companies that subscribe to international safety standards. Mason Adventures is one company that goes above and beyond by providing guests with full accident insurance and medical evacuation insurance on every one of their adventures. The company runs an elephant sanctuary where you can bathe, touch and ride the creatures, and also offers whitewater rafting, jungle dune buggies, mountain cycling and treks through the jungle. Like most people around the world, Balinese people speak their mother tongue with regional accents. Bahasa Indonesian is the universal language you'll hear on the street. However, there's no need to learn a second language other than a few niceties such as please and thank you. English is a common third language for many Balinese, because Australians make up one of the significant tourist groups to the island. Most restaurants have menus in either all English or with an English translation, and tour guides, hotel workers and most people who live and work in the tourist districts converse well in the language. Although beach areas are a significant draw, there's so much more to do in Bali than wiggle your toes in the sand. Find surf to ride on the island's south and north beaches, or don snorkel and fins and head beneath the surface to check out colorful fish dwelling on coral reefs. Beware of deadly riptides and undercurrents between Kuta and Canggu. Red flags raised along any beach mean dangerous conditions exist, so stay out of the water. Explore Bali's cultural heritage in its ancient Hindu temples, some dating back centuries. When heading out for cultural sightseeing, wear clothing that covers your shoulders and upper arms out of respect for the culture, and bring a sarong to wrap around your waist when entering a temple. Many temples provide sarongs and scarves at the door, but it's best to prepare by bringing your own. Thank for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe my channel so you can watch my next video. See you next time.